HYPERCAR MOUNTAIN.
Hi, today I want to talk about OEM collecting. OEM stands for Original Equipment Manufacturer, and it's about collecting one manufacturer or one of their models at a time, having a focus on that. For example, if you're a Ford collector, you can collect all Fords. That's a little broad, but a lot of collectors will say, hey, I just like Ford Mustangs, Ford GTs, whatever. If you're a Chevy collector, you might focus on Corvettes as an obvious one, or El Caminos. If you're a Porsche collector, you might focus on 911s, 928s. There are Mercedes collectors that focus only on the S-Class. Some focus on the newer AMG type models. Some focus on the SUVs. Just pick whatever you want and focus on it for a particular period of time. We'll get back to that later. What I do, I try to collect everything of quality, not the junk from Walmart necessarily, unless it's a name brand. But I try to find the best version of each model and display that one. For example, I have about 50 different Ferraris. I didn't put in my old Hot Wheels Testarossa. I put in a $20 one that looks a lot better. Again, the same thing with the Porsche 911s. I have a higher taste in those now. It's important to have the same scale for all. I know a lot of collectors will collect all scales, but if you focus on one scale, and I do 64, it all fit together into one display really easily. And to get started, I do an all-model checklist. What I do is I go to a fan site, or sometimes Wikipedia, because they're written by fans, and they're very thorough, and I've got one here for Ferrari. I printed out a checklist, old school way. You can do it digitally if you want, of every Ferrari model ever created. Now, that's a problem, because not every Ferrari is available in Diecast, and not every Ferrari is available in 64 scale. I think there's maybe 60 or 70 different ones. Well, that's enough for me for now. So I printed it out, crossed out the ones I can't get, or at least I marked them, and then I go through the checklist systematically when I buy new stuff to make sure I'm getting everything in the scale. It's also important to do saved eBay searches, and I've got an example here where I use the name of the manufacturer, the model, and then the word 64, and that limits my sort to 1/64 scale. Of course, I can filter it eBay way, but and then I save that search with newest listings first, and limit it to contemporary diecast cars. If you want old Matchbox stuff, you can add that too, but I sort it by the brand, the model, the scale, and newest listed first. And every time I go in there to that save search, it'll show me all the new Ferrari F40s, Porsche 911s, whatever. And I save several of these searches, and that makes collecting and searching way, way easier. Recommend that. Here's a couple more ideas on OEM collecting that I've learned over the years. If you disagree, please write some in the comments. We can have a discussion. I don't want this to be a monologue or a sermon. So let's discuss some of these if you're a serious collector. I like to go with diverse colors. Obviously, it would be obvious to have all your Ferraris red. But I went out of my way to buy black ones, yellow ones, silver ones, a couple custom ones too. So I mix them up, and it makes the display look a little more interesting. Got even some blue Ferraris. I generally try to make sure that those were colors offered by the original manufacturer, but not necessarily the case. Sometimes the real car collectors do get custom colors, and yes, you can get a pink Porsche or a orange Corvette, whatever. Anyway, I always continually improve the collection. Let's say I have a 1-year focus on it, but over the next few years, I try to look at my eBay save searches and improve the collection. So if I find a better looking model, better quality, better details, I'll maybe pull one out and replace it with a new best one. I might include two, but generally I include one of each model and always improving to get the best in the best. Unfortunately, I hate to say that limits you to not a lot of Hot Wheels cars, because some of them are not really the best quality, but it really depends on your budget. The best you can afford, go for that. I also like to do dioramas or the man cave look, and what I've shown here is my Castle Ferrari Castle, is a diorama. I even got Lombardy poplar trees in the background, which look like Italy. Castle has an Irish flag, but I'll fix that. Anyway, some people like it to look like a real car collection, a man cave. Whatever you like, do something like that rather than just throw the cars out on a table. It's a little more interesting. Have a budget and a time frame. I estimated that it would take me about $300 to do all the Ferraris I wanted the first year. And so I said, okay, it'll take me this amount of time with my budget to get all those Ferraris I need. I estimated $300. So I said, well, okay, let's put $50 a month into it, and then I'll get something by 6 months. Then I'll add to it a little bit. So my budget was $400 for the Ferrari collection. I know that's a little high, but I've never spent that much before, and I know I can get the money back. And that brings us to our 10th point: sell off for a new collection. Sometimes you need the money. You want to auction off your collection. A collection of cars is actually easier to sell, either in pieces or the entire thing, because collectors tend not to like mixed junk sometimes, and you can get a better price. I sold an El Camino collection once for $200, a Peugeot collection for $300. Wasn't very big, but it was 10 times what I paid for them. And so you got that. I've got a huge VW collection, like 300 cars. I'll probably part with that at some point, so I can afford to build a better collection. So look at that. Let me get back to the number 7 point: continually improving. Again, set your budget. I've got an example here of a custom diecast car. It's a Porsche for $125. I don't know, that's a little outside my budget, but you can always get more and more expensive 164s, even up to several $100s if they're very rare. So the sky's the limit, really. Do what you like, do what you can afford, have fun, and don't worry about the value. Go for what you like, have fun.
HYPERCAR Mountain.